Good evening. Before we start, I remind the committee and members of the public that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the township's YouTube. This meeting is being held electronically due to the COVID pandemic. Precautions and measures are in place regarding social distancing to ensure the health and safety of all those concerned at the municipal end of things, including here. Anyone who wishes to participate in this meeting will be invited to speak in the order of the applications being heard. I will now do a roll call of the committee for the benefit of the public watching this meeting. When I call your name, please wave at the camera or say here or present. I, Hans Podkamper, am present and chair this meeting. Jim? Present. Tim?
I'm here.
Linda?
Present.
Charles?
Present.
Reno?
Present.
Nancy?
Present.
I will now provide an explanation of the process for this meeting. Each application will be read by Nancy, and she will ask each applicant to make a brief presentation not to exceed 10 minutes. The committee will be given an opportunity to question the applicant. Any other person who has registered will be with the recording secretary and is wishing to address the application either for or against will be given an opportunity to speak. Please make sure you have turned off your microphone and video and identify yourself clearly for the recording secretary. Sorry, it says please turn on when it's your turn to speak. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the committee will make a decision on the application. Once discussion on your application is complete, please mute your microphone and turn off your video. You are free to leave the meeting at that point or to remain and listen for the balance of the applications. The applicants are advised that each application will have a 20-day appeal period as required under the Planning Act. The last day of appeal will be January 12th. At this time, I will ask Nancy to read out the first application.
Hansi, you can ask for any pecuniary interest.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Do any members of the team have pecuniary conflict? No.
No.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to declare a conflict on application A28, 2020.
Noted.
Just for the chair's information, when we get to that application, we will put Linda in the meeting room, in the waiting room,
Thank you.
and then we will readmit her after.
Right. I have no conflict. Okay, you're on.
All right. So the first application this evening is minor variance application A25-2020 for Marholm Farms Limited at 790 King Street North. The property is zoned agricultural and stockyards industrial commercial area with site-specific regulations. The property contains a single detached dwelling, a dairy operation, and accessory buildings. The applicant is requesting relief from section 6.40.11 of the value-added farm use regulations to establish a 180 square meter dairy processing and retail operation ahead of the building line and outside of the existing cluster of farm buildings. The proposed building and associated parking area are to be within an approximate 750 square meter area of operation, which is situated on the west side of the farm lane immediately north of the C8 zone limit. Reno, can you unmute Ezra, please?
Hi, everyone. It's Ezra here and my wife Jackie. The reason we're going for this minor variance is we feel that our driveway is too long and too narrow over the top of the highway department built a narrow, tall berm across the floodplain, and our driveway is sitting on top of that. It's approximately 200 to 250 meters long, And we feel and it's also against the highway department's side on the one side and across the GRCA floodplains. And we feel it's not suitable for two-way traffic and the walking trail being on there. And we feel it can make a long-term unsafe bottleneck in traffic access, customer access. And we also feel it's a real safety issue with vehicles and farm equipment potentially having to back up to 200 meters to pass each other, with people walking, biking, and elderly on motorized scooters using the driveway as well. And the driveway could easily be widened from the road to the proposed dairy. There's a suitable base there already. It could just be regraded to make it wider. And also the field access would be on the north side of the proposed dairy, which would make farm equipment access to that field a lot easier and safer for everyone. And we also feel the paragraph 3 in the comments section is suggesting that it would use less farmland if the dairy would be built in the building cluster. The planning committee was proposing in an apple orchard. We feel the loss of farmland would be very similar, whether it's out beside the driveway or in the farm building cluster. The land use would be very similar. And that's about what we have for now. If there's any questions or.
Any committee members have questions of the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, I do. Just wanting clarification. I know it says dairy processing and retail. So the retail piece, I kind of get it. It's probably to sell on-site product from the farm, but what is the dairy processing piece that's proposed for that building?
That's dairy processing would be pasteurizing and bottling, making dairy products. We're not sure yet. Yogurt, different dairy products.
I have a question. If you are going to be processing milk produced in your farm in this building, it seems rather distant to transport things back and forth, clean things back and forth, and so on.
It's just halfway out a driveway, if you want to look at it that way. We have milk transportation would either be done in a little tank or through the milk transportation company. We'd have a employee in the building, probably obviously the retail section would need an employee. We're not going back and forth all the time during the day, delivering milk and just however it happens to be. But it's in the barnyard, we would still have to put the milk in a tank and transport it because it's of the GRCA lands. We couldn't build a dairy close enough to the barn without being on the GRCA land to pipeline it over. So the difference is very minimal.
Thank you. Are any other comments or questions from the committee? Tim?
Chair, if you're ready for comments, if you've heard all the people, anyone else wants to speak, then I'd like to make a comment after other people have had a chance to speak.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this application? Did anyone else register to speak to this application?
No, they did not.
No, they did not. Okay, Tim?
Okay, my comments is I believe what the applicant says there, and I think this lane was created partly or a lot because of the expressway that created a unique situation here with this long driveway. And one of the comments from one of the committees commenting to this mentioned about the trailway and allowing it, and concern of the applicant, of the people using the trail and people going in and out the lane. So I support that's less than ideal for people and being able to use this lane for additional traffic. So this is one application where I feel there's an exception to the rule where this building needs to be outside of the cluster and in front, simply because of what developed on the farm through no fault of the applicant. The farm was created with the lane to allow an expressway to be built, is what I believe. So when it comes to this, I would be in support of this application.
Any further comments or questions? Linda?
So, through you, Mr. Chairman, I support Tim's comments. That was my initial thought looking at it. But I do have a qualifier. I support it from the aspect of the retail, but I do have some concerns with setting up a facility that's a processing facility. And I understand the fact that it's, you know, that the location of a building within the cluster may be difficult for processing because of the floodplain, but I'm viewing this as a retail outlet for the farm near the road to avoid exactly what has been said, that there's the traffic for people coming to sell. But I'm going to be honest, I'm still kind of sitting on the fence here. I have some reservations about the processing aspect of it, because I see that more of a farm cluster situation.
Mr. Chair?
Tim?
Sort of a question to the applicant then. The processing of this milk, if I understand it correctly, would all be controlled by the marketing board, the milk marketing board, as to what you're limited to do and whatever. So all the milk you process, you still have to be cleared by the marketing board, anything that you would be allowed to do. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I've been working with OMAF for a while already with plans, and also the DFO has a board to put together to help small entrants like this. So I'm working with a committee from the DFO board as well. They have experience in planning little processing plants, marketing, and the retail and sales.
So just to clarify then, that it will always remain a small operation, that there be controls that you can't get too big and too expansive on here is I think what we're concerned about.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their limits are currently, but we have a small area, and it'd just be, we have no idea what the market demand is for this, but yeah, it's just for an on-farm processing retail outlet for fresh milk. So
Linda?
Chairman, one more question then of the applicant. What is the percentage or the square footage for the retail versus the square footage for the processing in this building?
good question. I know Nancy had done it for me. I think it's around 10% or something. Is Nancy available to answer that question, or?
Yeah, Reno's just looking it up in the file.
Well, yeah.
What's 10%? Is that the retail or the processing?
The building is 1,600 square feet. It says the retail approximately 165 square feet. But then in that area though, he does have a cooler, a storage area and a receiving area. So the processing looks approximately between 10 and 12%.
Of the building capacity.
Of the building capacity.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Any further questions or discussion issues? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair? Okay, I would move that minor variance application A2520 concerning the property known as 790 King Street North, requesting relief from section 6.0 of the value-added farm use regulation, established 180 square foot dairy and retail operation, being ahead of the building line outside existing cluster of farm buildings, be approved.
I would second that.
If I may, Mr. Chair, if the committee so sees to approve this, the township and staff would like to have some conditions put forth then in this approval then, if you were to approve it. Conditions would be that the area of operation, including the building, parking area, would have to go through a site plan process to show the township the size of the building, the parking area, the public parking area, proper accessibility area, and grading for this area, for this building itself. So if the committee chooses to approve, then I would ask that these conditions be put forth with the approval. And the reason that we were asking, I'd be asking these conditions so that we can determine how this will be placed on site, not just through a building permit, but through a site plan application process.
Jim?
Mr. Chair, I have no problem with including those conditions in my motion to approve it. Can you reiterate those for us, please, again, what those conditions were, just so the applicant can hear them?
If the committee were to approve, the township would be asking for the area for development of the dairy retail processing area would go through a site plan process required to address servicing, the septic and the well, municipal services, the stormwater management, the grading, the parking area, and the vehicle turnaround for the site.
So those lists is what, 4, was that 4 or 5?
One, two,
3,
five.
4, 5.
5, you have those 5, Nancy?
I do, Tim. So I think how we worded it is that the applicant, subject to the applicant entering into a site plan agreement to address items including servicing, bracket septic and well, stormwater management, grading, parking, and vehicle turnaround for the site. I'm wondering if it should be entering a site plan agreement to address something so that we're not saying it's just, sorry, Linda, go ahead.
I think you're going the same place I was going. I mean, the Planning Act provides, and I get the condition to provide for the site plan approval process with the township. No issues to address things such as what has been discussed, but not to be inclusive, because some things may come up through the process. And I think we need to allow staff that opportunity to work with the applicant and council to address what needs to be addressed through the site plan process. I think the main condition is probably the site plan approval process to be added. And I support that. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so then I'll read the condition out to the committee. So the recommendation as noted be approved, subject to the applicant entering into a site plan development agreement to address items such as, but not inclusive of, servicing, septic and well, stormwater management, grading, parking, and vehicle turnaround on the site. Reno, is that good for you?
May I also suggest inclusion of because this part of the laneway is also part of the trail system, that some consideration be given to hikers and cyclists using that, now that all of a sudden it's going to be all sorts of retail traffic on that trail.
We can discuss that.
I think that should be included.
But I also like to repeat, Mr. Chair, that the staff's recommendation is to deny, just so you're aware that that is where staff's recommendation is right now. I'm just putting forth though, if the committee wishes to approve this, that those would be the conditions I would wish to put forth if the committee so sees to approve this.
I understand. Any further comment?
Mr. Chair, we need a seconder to approve those additions to the motion as well.
I will second that.
Jim's gonna,
Seconded. There being no further discussion, call for a vote in favor? Against?
Three, two.
Motion's carried.
Ezra, you can turn off your microphone and your video, and I will mail a copy of the decision out to you later this week.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, staff. Linda, we're gonna put you in the waiting room now.
okay, thanks.
Linda Herzer, if you'd like to turn on your audio and your video.
I might just ask you to go for a little bit longer.
Okay, the next application is minor variance A28-2020 for Linda Herzer for the property at 5 Dunkey Street North in Elmira. The property is zoned residential, commercial, and with site-specific provisions and contains a veterinary facility. The applicant is proposing to construct an 18 square meter enclosed entry at the front of the existing veterinary facility and requesting relief from the following. Section 6.10.2D to reduce the required building line setback adjacent to a street being north from 6 meters to 0 meters to extend the current setback of a portion of the building, and section 26.1.45.2 to increase the total floor area of all buildings used in connection with the veterinary facility from 210 square meters to 228 square meters. Linda, if you'd like to address the committee.
Hi, once again, my name is Linda Herzer and I own the North Waterloo Vet Hospital. And the reason I'm applying for the minor variance is because COVID has impacted the way we work here. So ever since the initial shutdown in the spring, we have closed our doors to the public. So only pets are escorted into the building. And we continue to work that way and are finding that we are meeting with clients outdoors more so than just talking to them over the phone. So my staff every day needs to go outside 20 to 30 or 40 times to meet with clients, escort pets in, do transactions outdoors, or bring out supplies. And with this, the weather change that's happening right now, I would like to create a partially sheltered outdoor area just for staff's comfort and clients' comfort as well. So we could do transactions and meetings with clients outdoors in a somewhat sheltered area. The shelter being mostly a roof structure, and then possibly a temporary closure of one side of the structure during winter, and then it would just be a roof in the summer.
Thank you. Any questions of the applicant by the committee?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I know there's a driveway there next to that building that has access to the rear parking lot that would still provide for ample room for parking and the driveway.
Yes. So you cut out a little bit with the sound, but the structure is at the front of the building.
Okay.
So it doesn't impact the driveway. It's near an entrance off the sidewalk.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions of the applicant? Has anyone else registered to speak?
There was a gentleman that registered, but he is not in attendance.
Thank you. How does the committee wish to proceed if there are no further questions?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion at A28-2020 concerning 5 Donkey Street and subject to number 1, the building permit be approved.
Is there a seconder?
I second it.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? There being none, call a vote. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. I'll email out.
What do I do now? Shut off?
Yep, you can turn your video and your audio off and I'll email out your decision.
Okay, thank you so much.
Can we let Linda back? Okay, Linda, are you back in?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Great.
We see.
Thanks.
Okay, so the next applications are minor variance application A26-2020, consent application B20-2020 for Stephen and Sarah Fry, and minor variance application A27-2020, and consent application 21-2020 for Jason and Ava Showalter. The properties are located at 624 Arthur Street North and vacant lands on Reedwoods Drive. The properties are both zoned agricultural. The property at 624 contains a single detached dwelling and an accessory building and barn, and the Reedwoods Drive lands are vacant. The applicants are proposing a lot line adjustment to sever equal portions to straighten the property lines and improve field operations. To facilitate the proposal, the following is being requested. Minor variance A26 for Fry's to recognize a reconfigured undersized parcel of land located at 624 Arthur Street North in the agricultural zone containing approximately 5.7 hectares, whereas 40 hectares is required. Minor variance A27 for Showalter to recognize a reconfigured undersized parcel of land located on Reedwood Drive in the agricultural zone containing approximately 16.5 hectares, whereas 40 hectares is required. Consent B20 for Fry's to sever a vacant parcel of land containing approximately 9,457 square meters from the rear of 624 Arthur Street North and conveyed as a lot addition to the vacant lands on Reedwoods Drive. And consent B21 for Showalter to sever an irregular shaped parcel of land containing approximately 9,457 square meters from the vacant lands on Reedwoods Drive and conveyed as a lot addition to the rear of the property at 624 Arthur Street North. Brian, you're there. You can turn your microphone on.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Shantz from Brian Shantz Limited and also Facet Design Studio in Waterloo. I am the authorized agent for both property owners, the Frys and the Showalters. For all of the reading that Nancy had to do, this is a relatively straightforward application, in my opinion. If the committee could refer to the site plan that was submitted with it, if you haven't looked at it closely, what it really is transferring of lands in equal proportions from the Fry property to the Showalter property and vice versa. It was stressed by planning that this has to be a balanced net amount of land that we're transferring from one property to the other. This is really meant primarily to make it a more effective use of the land for agricultural purposes. Nowadays with GPS in tractors, parallel property lines and getting rid of corners, as one of your members would be able to speak to, makes a much more efficient use of land, and that's really what's going behind it. Agencies have commented both from Township Planning and Engineering, GRCA, Region of Waterloo, and Bell Canada. They all are supporting or have no objections to what's being proposed. The irony of this scenario is that it was critical to planning that the two lot areas remain exactly the same. When we were completed with this, if the committee views it as acceptable. However, having said that, engineering is requesting or actually requiring a 4-meter road widening from both properties to be given to the township of Woolwich. If you look at the properties along Reedwoods Drive, the Fry property is closest to the intersection of Arthur Street North and is the shorter frontage. Then there's a hydro substation moving back, and then the frontage for the Showalter property. So there will be some challenges in road widening. I understand the official plan requests the 20-meter width, but I'd wonder if the committee would give consideration to these undersized farming lots to not take the road widening from the Showalter property at this point, and then with a degree of reluctance to concede to it on the Fry property. Thank you.
Questions of the applicant? Staff wish to comment on the last minute request?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that there was discussion with engineering with regards to this taking of the road widening, and speaking to engineering, this is the time we take road widenings when official applications come in, and at this point in time, we are still requesting that the road widening be taken from this property free and clear.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Response from the applicant? There being none, how does the committee wish to proceed? Linda?
Mr. Chairman, I'm presuming the staff would like these voted on individually. So starting with minor variance application A26, 2020, concerning the property described as part lots 90 on the reference plan, part 1 known as 624 Arthur Street North, to recognize a reconfigured undersized parcel of land in the agricultural zone containing approximately 5.7 hectares where 40 is required, be approved.
Second.
Second that.
Charles has his hand.
Charles?
Sorry, John.
All in favor? Against? Motion's carried.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I will continue along here so that minor variance application A27, 2020, concerning the property described as vacant land Reedwoods Drive, requesting to recognize a reconfigured underside parcel of land in the agricultural zone containing approximately 16.5 hectares where 40 is required, be approved as well.
I will second that.
We have a seconder. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. You want to carry on, Linda?
Sure, I'll carry on, Mr. Chairman. So looking at consent application B20 concerning the property known as municipally as 624 Arthur Street North, requesting to sever a vacant parcel of land containing approximately 9,457 square meters from the rear of 624 Arthur Street North and convey it as a lot addition to the vacant lands on Reedswood Drive, be approved. And I'm just going to say subject to the 5 conditions set out in the recommendations. And that would include the road widening as well for that parcel.
I'll second that.
That's Charles. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Against? Motion's carried.
And Mr. Chairman, the final one, consent application B2120 concerning the property described as vacant land Reedswood Drive, requesting to sever an irregular shaped vacant parcel of land of approximately 9,457 square meters from the vacant lands on Reedwood Drive and convey it as a lot addition to the rear of the property on 624 Arthur Street North be approved, subject to, and I'm throwing it out there for discussion purposes or whatever, but subject to the 6 recommendations listed in the 6 conditions listed in the recommendation in the planning report.
I'll second it with the 6 recommendations.
Any discussion or questions?
Tim, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, just for discussion, and this is where the section where the 4-meter road widening that they were discussing. And I guess I have concerns. I mean, I understand the townships and the regions take these. And I think we did one recently where we gave the widening on the parcel that was being picked up, but we didn't include it on the balance. It gets to be quite it's worth a lot of money, this land, as compared to what it was when it came out. And it seems to me that it's beginning to get unfair that we're taking such wide road widenings over extended pieces of farmland just because we can. So philosophically, I get it. I understand that we need to widen the roads, and Reedswood Drive is too narrow. But philosophically, I'm against it because it costs. The farmers are giving up a lot of land for free to be allowed to make their land more viable in farming. So to give it on one hand, take it away with no compensation on the other, just doesn't seem to sit very fair with me in the whole application. So it's just my comments on all this road widening.
Any further comments by members of the committee? We have a motion and a seconder. All in favor? Against? Motion's carried.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas and better New Year.
Thank you. Same to you, Brian.
Yes.
Yes, same to you, Brother.
Garrett, if you want to turn on your video and your audio. So the next application this evening is for a sign variance application. Application is SV2-2020 for Joseph's Place, Breslau, LP. The property is located at 208 Woolwich Street South in Breslau. Property is zoned residential mixed high density with design guidelines and site-specific provisions and contains a 4-story apartment building. The applicant is requesting relief from the following ground sign regulations in sign bylaw 32-2015. Section 12.2 to reduce the required setback from a lot line abutting a street, being Woolwich Street South, from 3.0 meters to approximately 1.3 meters. Section 12.2 to reduce the required interior lot line setback from 1 meter to approximately 0.8 meters. And section 12.9E to reduce the required setback from a lot line abutting a street, being Woolwich Street South, from 3 meters to approximately 1.3 meters. To permit the installation of a ground sign outside of the existing hydro easement area. The proposed sign will be approximately 1.7 meters in height with a sign face area of approximately 3 square meters, which is in conformity with the ground sign regulations. Garrett, if you had anything to mention to the committee?
Mute yourself.
Oh, sorry, you have to unmute yourself, Garrett.
Got it. Sorry. We are mainly doing this to hide the transformer that's at the front of the property. And it'll also be an address sign for the property as well, as our building is set back in the property. So a very long driveway, and we want to make sure that people can find it.
Any questions of the applicant? Linda?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the applicant. So it's hiding that. How high is the sign going to be? Like, is it going to be on posts or is it going to be low? And the reason why I'm asking, so when I went out, I drove around and then I came and I stopped and I parked. I parked ahead of the transformer, pretty much in line with the other sign that's there. And the concern that I had, given where the sidewalk is and the driveway, is depending on the design of that sign, I am concerned from a safety perspective that there might be some issues with people seeing. So I think, while I don't have a concern with the sign and the reason and rationale, I think it depends on the design of the sign and making sure that it does not impact the sight lines for people sitting in cars and trucks pulling out of that driveway.
So we have
That's my concern. Otherwise, I have no concerns with it.
Do you want me to give a comment?
Please.
We have a proposed design for the sign. As of right now, the height is no higher than 1.6 meters. Which is approximately about the same height as the transformer, just slightly higher. As all we are trying to do is just kind of remove the vision of the transformer. We're not trying to block sight lines of vehicles or anything like that. And then it'll be a relatively thin sign that'll be on 2 posts on either side of the transformer, approximately 3 meters wide.
Linda?
So thank you very much for that. So just to clarify in my own mind, so the height of the sign, like the top height of the sign, would be pretty much in line with the top height of the transformer. Is that okay? All right,
Yep.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Sorry, just a quick one through you, Mr. Chair. What's the width or the length of the hydro box right now compared to the sign? Do you know that? How big it is right now?
Not off the top of my head. I believe the transformers are about 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters.
Okay, so you're going to double that in the length of it per se.
Yeah, there's a concrete vault underneath the transformer that is raised. That's required for Water North Hydro to have. They also have an easement that goes out front of the transformer that is 3 meters wide. So we are building outside of that and then over top. And one of the requests from them is that the middle of the sign be easily removed. So we're making sure that the sign is designed in a way that can be removed as per any, if they need to get there as well. But that's mainly the reason why we have to go 3 meters, but it also comes as
Okay,
well.
and that's per the condition as well as why you're making easily removable, right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, or how does the committee wish to proceed?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that sign variance application SV2 2020, known as 208 Woolwich Street South in Breslau, be approved subject to the condition number 1.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
Garrett, Scott.
Thank you.
Very much.
Do we have any further business?
We have the 2021 calendar and the minutes. And then I just want to verify with some meeting attendance then. So we'll need a motion on the 2021 committee of adjustment schedule.
Member of the committee wish to move?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Seconder?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
And your November minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the minutes from the November 23rd, 2020 meeting of the committee as circulated. Approved as circulated.
I will second that, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried.
Okay, so that's the end of the meeting. Rita, you can stop the recording. Okay, just want to double check with everybody.